And now, please welcome the Mayor of the City of New York, Bill de Blasio.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. There you go. Energetic crowd. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Gracie Mansion, which we think of as the people's house because it belongs to every one of you, correct? Okay. So welcome. And we gather together. You know, sometimes, I don't know if you're like me, sometimes you don't want to turn on the TV or go to the news on the internet lately. Have you had that feeling from time to time? Yes, all the time. Yes, okay. And I think it is a fair statement to say, perhaps by its very nature, media focuses on things that are not always the everyday good news stories and the more sensational, troubling stories. But certainly in the last few months, we've had a lot that's been very trying, which is why it is very, very important to gather together with good people, like-minded people, people who have been working for the cause of respecting people's rights. And that's what so many people here under this tent have done throughout their lives and careers. But it's also important to remember, now this is a crazy notion, remember a time when our Congress passed landmark legislation to actually give people more help. Imagine that for a moment. I know what I'm saying is impossible to believe, but yes, once upon a time in America, 27 years ago, in fact, the United States Congress recognized injustice and endeavored to do something about it. Recognized that too many people were being left out of our society, that too many people's potential wasn't being met. 27 years ago, our Congress reflected our better angels as a society and did something bold and necessary and passed the Americans with Disabilities Act. And we gather to celebrate that because it was one of the greatest civil rights achievements of our time. Right? Nothing less than that. One of the greatest civil rights achievements of our time. So even though it is not always tempting to turn on the TV or open the newspaper or go to the internet to see the news, gathering here tonight reminds us of what can be, what once was and can be again, in terms of things being done the right way to create a better society and a more perfect union. We celebrate the ADA tonight. And boy, another thing to think about is a piece of legislation that lived up to all of its promise in the transcendent impact it's had on so many lives. It's another good news story tonight. It not only passed, it came to life in the 27 years since to make so many people's lives better. So everyone is here to celebrate. A lot of people from our team want to be a part of this. I'd like you to join me in thanking some members of the administration who are here tonight. I will later talk about one of the most popular members of the administration, Victor Calisi. I just say his name, and I know the big round of applause will happen. So we'll talk about Victor in just a moment before he comes forward, but I want to also thank the other leaders of this administration who are here tonight. I'm going to name them all, and I'd love you to applaud them all as a group ongoing. First of all, our wonderful Commissioner for Cultural Affairs, Tom Finkelpearl. Want to thank a woman who has fought for real accessibility in transportation, the chair of the Taxi and Limousine Commission, Meera Joshi. The Chief Technology Officer for New York City, Miguel Gamino Jr. The Commissioner for the Department for the Aging, Donna Corrado. Commissioner for the Office of Emergency Management, Joe Esposito. The Chair of the City Planning Commission, Marissa Lago. And then two people you should especially applaud because they helped to make tonight possible. The Executive Director of the Gracie Mansion Conservancy, Paul Gunther. And the woman whose team she and her team make these great events possible for all of us, the Executive Director of the Office of Special Events, Special Projects and Community Events, Carla Matero. I also want to acknowledge a colleague in government who does so much that matters to so many people here. From the MTA, the Vice President for Paratransit, Steve Lopiano. We thank you. And finally, two elected officials who have been outstanding advocates for people with disabilities, the Borough President of Manhattan, Gail Brewer. Let the record show Gail Brewer is even more popular than Victor Calisi. And from Queens, joining us, Assembly Member David Weprin. "27 years ago, Tom Harkin, who is a true American hero, Senator Tom Harkin, used his strength, his eloquence, his focus, his powerful, passionate values, and he helped move this country. And at the time of the passage of the ADA, he said, the ADA is the 20th century Emancipation Proclamation for all Americans with disabilities. And it really had an impact on millions of people. And the things that now we recognize as necessary and essential and hopefully commonplace, not always, but hopefully commonplace, that started the day that legislation was passed. Access to movie theaters, courthouses, parks, stadium. These were things, as everyone knows here, that were far from guaranteed before the ADA. Transportation accessibility was unheard of in too many cases. And because the ADA, and this is a great example of something good in this city, we now have a 100% accessible fleet of New York City buses. So many things that were wrong and needed to be righted, and this legislation literally caused the dominoes to fall and the changes to happen. Before the ADA, it was far from just a matter of physical barriers. We all know the stigma, we all know the barriers that kept people from educational opportunities, from employment opportunities. The ADA started to change consciousness, and that was just as important as the physical changes, and made clear that an inclusive society was something that conformed to the values of the people of this country, was something that reached every family, was something that was necessary. You know, it's funny, I've learned this over the years, we're a big diverse city in a big diverse country, and yet there's been some actual progress, some discernible progress in people's understanding of each other across different identities and different experiences. There's real evidence that people came to appreciate each other more and to stop stereotyping and stop feeling so different from each other. That's what's happened in communities all over the country. That's what's happened if you look at public opinion polls. Something very good happened, and the ADA was one of those signature moments, one of those momentum-building moments for that change. I have to say, it is a tough day to be extolling the virtues of an inclusive society when in the last 24 hours we saw the U.S. Senate start the process of voting to take away health care from tens of millions of people. And that is a reality we are very sober about tonight. a real fight going on as we speak, and it will go on over the next few weeks, where all of us have to be engaged in protecting health care for 1.6 million New Yorkers who could lose their health insurance if we lose the ACA. Are we ready to fight for them? But also, what a strange day and a sad day when the President of the United States goes out of his way to suggest who should be excluded from military service. Can I just say that any transgender New Yorker or American who wants to serve their country, put their life on the line, protect all of us, I say thank you and God bless them, every single one. So that's what's happening in Washington, but I always remind people, whatever you feel about the election of November 8th, there's something much more powerful than that when it comes to our city, which is what we believe as New Yorkers. Our values, which are really clear and really strong. This is a city for everyone. And, you know, they cannot pass a law in Washington that will tell us to stop feeling that way. We're an inclusive city, and we're proud to be an inclusive city. And part of being inclusive is also being open and transparent about the path we've traveled, the progress we've made, but also the challenges ahead. So a year ago, we released Accessible NYC, first report of its kind in this city, and the goal was clear: to tangibly and consistently improve the lives of people with disabilities here in this city. We released the updated version last Wednesday, and I want to just give you some highlights. This is good news too. So we're in the middle of a push right now, using city resources, very aggressively going out to communities all over the city to make sure that 10,000 more New Yorkers who can get a rent freeze under DRE get the rent freeze they deserve. And also the thousands and thousands of people who could get a property tax break because of the new law passed in Albany. We want disabled property owners who can get a tax break to get a tax break. We want to increase access to jobs with the NYC at Work initiative. It's a public-private partnership. It creates opportunity, opens doors, gives people maximum opportunity to get jobs in too many cases that they were excluded from. We are working on such tangible, important things as increasing the number of accessible pedestrian signals, and I want to tell you, 6 times more pedestrian signals in this city than 3 years ago. And a goal that I think we all feel very strongly in this room, making sure that by 2020, 50% of all NYC yellow taxis are accessible. All of that and a lot more needs to be done. But it all is possible because of what happened 27 years ago. So we celebrate an amazing achievement that we're still being fueled by and energized by in so many ways. And we take the occasion tonight to honor organizations that have lived out the spirit of the ADA and have made lives better for people with such a deep impact on this city. And we do that through awards, the ADA Sapolin Awards and the Freitas Advocacy Awards. So these are wonderful honors to people who've done so much good. And now, as I promised, to talk to us about the awards and to bring forward the honorees, a guy who has had a huge impact on the lives of New Yorkers. And I got to tell you, he's an amazing advocate within the administration. He's someone whose voice and passion moves mountains inside government. He gets the bureaucracy to actually do its job. That's pretty cool. He's someone whose heart and mind have won the respect of everyone he works with. And you can now applaud him even more. The Commissioner for the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities, Victor Calisi.
Hello, everyone. How are you tonight? What a great night. I can't believe the weather, right? We asked for it and we got it. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank Mayor de Blasio for letting us into our house.
Your house.
Right?
Hey, Victor, you know what I told you? Mi casa es su casa.
Gracias. I would also like to thank the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities. If you can raise your hand. Where are you? Thank you, everyone. The Mayor's Office for Special Events. All the great blue-collar workers at DCAS for everything that they're always doing for us here. The interns for everything that they're doing. Appreciate that. And for putting this event together tonight. Also, I have to call out a great woman, not just my wife, but my dear person and who I'm with all the time, my wife Susan. I'm not sure where you are. And of course, Mama Calisi's here tonight. Where are you, Mom? And lastly, this event could never happen without our sponsors. Adapt Community Network, Independent Care System, Regal Cinema, who was awardee last year, the Poses Family Foundation, and IBM. And we're here tonight to celebrate the 27th anniversary of the ADA, and it's actually the day of the signing is today, so it's great, and to present the 2017 Sapolin Awards. For Matt Sapolin, those of us who knew him, he was a great man and we miss him dearly. The triumph of the ADA cannot be ascribed to the efforts of a few politicians, but rather the dedication, hard work, and passion of thousands of citizens. Today, we honor and recognize the efforts of activists, which are here in this room, advocates and allies around the world fighting for equality. Now, quoting Mayor de Blasio from 2014.
Wow.
I got that, right?
I feel like I'm being watched.
Because politics of the sort that we believe in doesn't measure success by poll numbers, but by action. We believe in grassroots, people-powered government. Now, the mayor is talking about civic engagement and how being involved moves government. We need to foster new young advocates. We need to be involved in our community boards. We need to be seen in the workplace. We need to run for city council, and we need to run for higher office. This is the only way that we can make the change that we want, and more importantly, we deserve. Now, I'm not trying to put this all on you. We, meaning city government, the mayor, the mayor's office for people with disabilities, the commissioners, the borough presidents behind me, have work to do. This is why we have released the second edition of Accessible NYC, the state of persons with disabilities living in New York City. And we focus on 6 areas: transportation, employment, education, health, housing, and access. Here are some highlights. We just released the second edition of the Inclusive Design Guidelines. TLC has recently proposed rules for accessibility in the for-hire vehicle sector.
Yeah.
And installing hearing loops in public meeting spaces. We are still a long way from achieving our goal of a just and equitable society. But this is a city that champions inclusivity, accessibility, and equality, and where the D in diversity stands for disability. When I began my tenure as commissioner, I had the vision of making New York City the most accessible city in the world. And Accessible NYC is an invaluable tool in tracking our progress towards that larger goal. And one of the great things about Accessible NYC is designating disability service facilitators and agencies. These disability service facilitators are changing the way that services and design and construction are being delivered across city agencies. Now, every time we go to a town hall, the mayor often talks about the commissioners sticking around because they have services to do, right? You're always saying we're here all night. So if the disability service facilitators could put up your hands, I want to thank you for all your work.
Yeah.
And if you need help, make sure you follow them tonight.
Wait, put up your hands one more time. Okay, if you need them, find them.
If we are going to make change, make this city the most accessible city in the world, we have to address the issue of employment because people with disabilities are living in poverty. Overwhelmingly, people with disabilities are either unemployed or underemployed, making them the largest source of untapped potential in this great city. Our team aims to address the issue with the city's first public-private employment initiative for people with disabilities, NYC at Work, which is designed to connect talent to businesses, generating meaningful employment opportunities for people with disabilities. And this could not be possible without the funders, and they're here tonight. The Poses Family Foundation, New York State Education Department of Access, Department, and Access, let me say that over. New York State Education Department and Access VR.
All right, thank them.
Yep. The Kessler Foundation and the Institute for Career Development. And a special thanks to our Business Development Council, because we all recognize that at work, it's what you can do that matters. Now, this administration and the mayor are committed to leading the way, and I'm confident that if we all work together to make New York City the most accessible city in the world, it can happen. Because it's simple. If we can make it accessible here, we can make it accessible everywhere. Thank you. I got a little Frank Sinatra in there.
I was
right?
going to say, was that your homage to Frank Sinatra?
Yeah,
I was impressed.
I grew up listening. My father, it was a requirement in my house to listen to Frank Sinatra. And my grandmother could never pronounce her name, and she used to call him Frank Sinatnos. Quite interesting. So now on to the awards. If we can get all the awardees up here, that'd be great.
Awardees.
All right. Title I Employment Award goes to CVS. Since 2014, over 250 people with disabilities have completed a work experience program within CVS retail stores and their mock store. They have learned skills such as customer service, stocking, working with the team setting, and conflict resolution. In March 2017, we all celebrated the grand opening of the Brooklyn Transition Center in Brooklyn at a public school with their CVS Health mock store. As a result, over 380 students with disabilities have access to the CVS Health mock store. The team that has made this possible is Amanda Tierney, Regional Manager Workforce Initiatives, and Joanna Lisbo, Regional Learning Coordinator. This dynamic duo has provided 69 individuals with internships and employment opportunities throughout the 5 boroughs in this year alone. And the great part is they're both CUNY grads. To receive the award for CVS is Amanda Tierney, Regional Learning Center Manager for Workforce Initiatives. Thank you for your work, CVS and Amanda. So Title II Public Service Awards goes to the High Line. The High Line is an elevated freight rail line transformed into a public park on Manhattan's West Side. It is owned by the City of New York and maintained and operated by the Friends of the High Line. It is now a nonprofit conservancy working with New York City Department of Parks and Recreation to make sure that the High Line is maintained as an extraordinary public space for all visitors to enjoy. The great thing about the High Line, it was built with accessibility in mind. And they work with the Parks Department and, of course, the Mayor's Office with people with disabilities. It is accessible with elevators and ramp access, sensory gardens, picnic tables, and provides innovating seating areas throughout for all visitors. Here to receive the award is Adam Ganser, Vice President for Planning and Design. The Title III Public Accommodation Award goes to Blink Fitness. Yeah. Blink Fitness is based throughout New York City with 35 locations and coming to Staten Island soon, so it's going to be in every borough. And Blink facilities have designed their gyms with many accessible features, including elevators, accessible lockers, captioning all their TVs, accessible showers, and bathrooms. And they have many pieces of universal fitness equipment throughout their space. And all these features are at every Blink across the city. And Blink Fitness's management has been responsive to our office to include new features in their gyms and include people with disabilities in their recent advertisements. And here to accept the award is Todd Magazine, president of Blink Fitness. So the Title IV Telecommunication Award goes to City Mouse. This is a disability-owned company here in the city, and it was founded in 1996 as one of New York's first independent internet media agency, and is a full-service digital agency offering innovative web design, app development, and consulting services. It is incorporating the state-of-the-art cognitive design principles and best practices. They create inclusive and responsive websites and apps that work on all devices for people of all abilities. Here to accept the award is president and founder of City Mouse, John Kirkwood. Right there. Got it? Yep. All right, thank you. Now, for the last award is the Freitas Ames Advocacy Award. So, every time I've heard about Freida, I've heard great things and what an amazing advocate she was and how she was able to work across every sector. And she was just amazing from what I heard. And I really wish I had the opportunity to meet her, but I didn't. But I also had the person that is going to be receiving this award tonight, Ted Finkelstein. That was the one that told me about Freida. And it's an honor to be able to give Ted this award because everybody knows Ted, right? Now, Ted just retired from the City Commission on Human Rights. We're really sad about that. And as I've been talking to Ted and realizing he was in city government for 37 years.
Whoa.
Now, to put that in perspective,
That's commitment.
he started when I was 8 years old. But Ted, it really is just a great guy. He was responsible for developing and managing the Commission's Access Program, which provides assistance and education to people with disabilities and senior citizens. Ted trained as a social worker, but he became an expert in accommodating New Yorkers with disabilities. He's developing an ability to tell within quick inspections whether a ramp or lift can be built, where there are currently stairs, as well as determining if other accommodations can be made within a facility. And he never gave up. He fought, he continues to fight. I call him a friend now, and here to accept the award is the myth and the legend himself, Ted Finkelstein. All right. Well, that concludes our awards. Mr. Mayor, would you like to say anything else?
Why, thank you, Victor. Victor and I are going to have a morning drive time radio show soon. I just want to say to everyone, thank you for the great work you do. Thank you for making New York City a more inclusive place. Do not be alarmed by some of the things you see in Washington, D.C. They will not stop us. We're going to keep making this a more inclusive city. Thank you, and God bless you all.